Hello and welcome back to the channel. First of all, apologies for not posting any videos last week. I'm afraid I came down with COVID, and fortunately they gave me a course of antivirals, and it's put me back on my feet, which is rather nice, as I was expecting that I would be knocked for sort of 3 or 4 weeks by this thing, based on previous experiences, but within 48 hours of the antivirals I was relatively okay, and I'm testing clear now. So I have for you a model today that was suggested to me in the comments back in, I think it was about October of 24. I did an Apache attack helicopter by Kazi, and one of the comments in on that model was to do the Wange version of the Apache. So here we are. Finally got around to it, and it'll be the usual format. It'll be 60-second speed build, some pics, and then we'll get into the review. So let's crack on and build. Welcome back. Right, so the Apache by Wange. Well, first of all, the instructions. Now, proper book, and I have to say it is very good indeed. There's a couple of things I really like in here. First of all, you get a little bit of information, which it never costs them anything to really print any extra sort of stuff. And I just really like that, as well as parts, which can be quite useful to refer back to. But the thing that I most like about the Wange instructions is that it is very, very clear. They blank out the bits that you have already done to the point of it being almost transparent. So it is very, very clear what bits you are building, where they're going, and which parts they're attaching to. No complaints there whatsoever. They are very good, some of the best. Now, nothing was missing. There was no warpage and there was no discoloration, which is always fantastic. They are stickers rather than decals, and the stickers they're acceptable. It would have been nice to have had decals, I think, but what we've got is absolutely fine, especially at this sort of price point, which I'll get to later. Now, the overall design, I think, actually is very, very good indeed. It's another one of these, and we're starting to see more and more of them, which I think is fantastic, that are actually blurring the line a little bit between a brick model and a Tamiya Rebel Airfix type of model. So there's very few studs that are visible, and at first glance you wouldn't necessarily notice any of the studs as well. Everything fits together pretty well. One thing I will mention about the bricks, now the bricks do feel quality, there's a nice feel to them. However, there was one or two that were a little bit on the softer side, and the contact wasn't great, so you really had to sandwich them down so you didn't end up with that sort of gap between them and the brick that they were on. But apart from that, and that was only a couple of bricks, apart from that, they were absolutely fine. There's some really nice little touches in here. The way that they have done the undercarriage at the front, for instance. Now, that was one of the problems I had on the Kazi, that the undercarriage did keep collapsing. This is very, very strong indeed. No problems whatsoever there. And the other issue that I had with the Kazi was on the whole canopy construction, where you made the canopy and then attached, for some bizarre reason, up against the sort of the side of the engine itself, whereas this more logically all connects to the fuselage horizontally. Now, it doesn't come with any minifigures, which I do think is a little bit of a shame, and I think displaying this, I've got a fair few minifigures lying around. I will probably pop 2 pilots in there. I have done it already, and it does look very nice indeed, but because it doesn't come with the minifigures, I didn't think I'd do it for the actual review itself. There are just lots of little nice bits and pieces on here, which just shows me that they've really thought about this. So, as is sort of relatively common with all aircraft, I suppose, you sort of expect any munitions that are hanging off of the wings to be relatively fragile. These are not too bad at all. They've got the sort of push plate type of attachment. I'll just take those off a second. Oh, there we go. So you've got that you then push into the sort of rack of missiles, and that does hold it pretty securely, I have to say. Obviously onto the mounting onto the wing itself, it's okay. It's not going to be anything wonderful. Oh, put that on slightly the wrong place. There we go. But it's pretty good. I can't knock it at all. While it's not perfect, it is a lot better than most. Which so fair play to them for that. The rotors obviously do move quite nicely. Shows back. And overall, I think the design on this is just really nice. I think it looks sleek, it looks dangerous. It's nice not to be working in black. To work in the sand colour, I think, really suits this. There are a couple of very minor grumbles. The gun, if you've probably noticed, on mine anyway, is very loose. So whichever way you turn it, it does tend to flop around a little bit, which I can imagine, depending on how you want this posed, could be slightly annoying. The tail plane at the back here, that can be a little bit fragile. There's only 2 nodes really that are holding that on. While it is slightly protected by the back wheel there, it's not difficult to nudge these and for that to come off. And then the final thing, which I wasn't hugely happy about, was on the rear rotor. You've got the curving of the blade going in opposite directions with the ones next to it, which doesn't really seem to be right. However, checking the pictures, that's how they've got it, and I did check that several times in the instructions, and I have put them on there correctly. However, having had a look at a few pictures of the real thing, I think that's something the designers have got slightly wrong on this, but it is a very minor point, and yeah. And the only other thing as well is the actual assemblage for the rotors. Again, that will come off reasonably easily as well. So while you can spin the rotors. You don't want to be like whacking it around, otherwise they will come off. But overall, I think this is excellent. Now, on the prices for this is it was very definitely a pocket money Wange model. So this comes in at £9.52, including postage. That's what I paid for this, and I think that's phenomenal, because the Kazi model that I bought, which was half the length of this, admittedly half the piece count of this, and far more fragile, far less detailed, far less composed as a model. I seem to remember the whole back end only being held on by 2 studs on that particular one, and as I've already mentioned, the whole cockpit canopy arrangement on the Kazi one was very fragile, as was the undercarriage. Now the Kazi one came in at £9.68, so to all intents and purposes they were the same price. Well, this wins absolutely every day of the week. I think this is a really cool model, which for the price is excellent. And thank you very much to, I can't remember now off the top of my head who it was who'd put in the comments on the Kazi Apache, pointing me in the direction of this, but whoever you are, thank you very much indeed, much appreciated. So there we go, that's today's model, the Wange AH64 Apache. It's very good and highly recommended. So hopefully you've liked this video. If you have, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you again. You take care. Bye bye.